welcome back to Pages and Pens. My name is Julie and I am here with a super fun tag video. This is the Johnny Depp book tag. I was tagged by Jessica and Christine over at Game of Tomes. They are phenomenal, hysterical. Their video of this tag killed me, the outtakes just in general. They were having one of their wine chat kind of videos and it just cracked me up. So I'm going to link their channel down below as well as their video. The originator of this tag is The Perks of Books. I will have her channel listed down below as well. This is obviously a tag all about Johnny Depp. I'm not that well versed on Johnny Depp because I'm not really that big of a Depp fan. I am a fan of him in, say, What's Eating Gilbert Grape or the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but not really him as Willy Wonka or him in any of those kind of like darker Sweeney Todd type of movies. It's just not my thing. But the good thing is that despite the basis of this tag being Johnny Depp and his different film roles, the questions are all ones that I still understand. So we're just gonna roll with it. So the first one I definitely have not seen, and this is his role as Glenn in Nightmare on Elm Street. And it says, what author's book did you enjoy so much that you read their entire works? I have not read any author's entire works. In terms of the number of books read, you guys know this, it's like a pretty standard answer for me. It's gonna be Kim Harrison, Laurel K. Hamilton, Charlaine Harris, J.K. Rowling. I also pulled out, because I'm a funny gal like that, Adam Silvera's History Is All You Left Me, because technically I've read all of Adam's works because he only has 2 published books and I really enjoyed both of them. More Happy Than Not and History Is All That You Left Me are both phenomenal, and technically I've read his entire collection of books, so I'm counting it, even though that's super cheaty and I've read way more books by other authors. Next question, is the Mad Hatter, have I gone mad? I'm afraid so. So name a delightfully insane character. I'm gonna go with a character from Harry Potter. And I'm going with Dobby because he is delightfully insane. He is so sweet and so cute, but he does insane, crazy, illogical things to keep Harry from going back to school. Why? Because he doesn't want him to get hurt. Dobby is one of my all-time favorite characters in the Harry Potter series, so I went with Dobby for this question. Then we have Crybaby. I have not seen that movie. This was a book that featured a bad boy with a heart of gold, and I don't have the physical copies with me. They're still in storage, so I'll put up a picture, but I'm going with Eric Northman from the Sookie Stackhouse series because Eric Northman, guys, and not show Eric Northman, who did have redeeming qualities, but book Eric Northman, who just, oh, broke me. And he's definitely portrayed, especially early on, as the bad boy with like no redeeming qualities, but he is just, he's everything. Plus, Alexander Skarsgård, pretty redeeming as well. But Eric Northman in general, he's my bad boy with a heart of gold. Sam from Benny and June, which I haven't seen. And this is a book that helped me through a hard time. And for this, I would say I didn't have anything like specific, but I will say that anything that is fully engrossing, so like longer series, if I could binge read something and lose myself in it and lose myself in a world, that always helps me through rough patches. I think I read Twilight during the winter and I was in a funk, and that definitely helped because I just binged through all of those books. That was amazing. I also did the same with the Sookie Stackhouse series, so there's nothing that stands out as like the one thing that really helped me through a super tough time, but in general, those kinds of series, especially if they're already all released, I don't have to wait and I can go through all of them, definitely help me get out of my head a lot. I'm gonna move on to Willy Wonka, a book retelling that did not quite meet my expectations. I have 2 for this. First up was Cinder. This is a Cinderella retelling as a sci-fi futuristic mechanical robot cyborg space adventure. I did not love this book. I liked the series overall, but not as much as most people seem to. This one really let me down because the hype around it was oh so real, and I just didn't get it, especially in this first one. I eventually got on board with some of the other ones, but this one in particular really let me down. Winter Song by S.J. Jones. And you guys, I do have a review for that. I will link that up above. But this was not my favorite. This was a Labyrinth retelling, pretty loose, you guys, and not my favorite. So this one really let me down as well. Then we have Edward Scissorhands, A Misunderstood. Recommend a book that you do not feel gets the love it deserves. For this one, I'm going with The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I think that this one doesn't get the love it deserves because people get embarrassed talking about it because it's Stephanie Meyer, the author of Twilight, which gets so much hate. There's just so much stigma revolved around even admitting that you read or liked that series. However, This book was so good, and it was not supposed to be a standalone. This was supposed to be part of a series. Then the other ones just never came out. I don't know why, because this book was so good. This is a sci-fi book about aliens that have landed on Earth and they inhabit humans. You can tell when they've inhabited a human because they've got this like ring in their eyes where it's like reflective. The aliens are essentially hunting down all of the humans to take them over as host bodies. Aliens have just lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes of memories, and in all of these different worlds and realms and planets and faction of humans that are left that are fighting against being taken over by these aliens, things ensue from there. But the love story in this is amazing. The world building in this is amazing. The sci-fi portions of this were phenomenal. And just overall, I loved this book. I feel like people don't talk about it enough because they're afraid to mention the author, but genuinely, it's such a good book. It's also a behemoth, so you should read it if you haven't yet. And then we have Ichabod Crane / Sleepy Hollow. What is your favorite classic horror story? And I don't read horror stories, you guys know that, but I have read The Shining. I feel like that's probably one of the only classic horror stories that I've read, and I think it's so terrifying because it's like a family member just losing their mind and then coming after you. Like, I can't imagine my father attacking my mother or myself in that kind of a way, like, or in any way. I don't know what I'm saying, but terrifying. I don't like it, but I did read it, and I had nightmares for quite a while. Gilbert Grape, a book where the sadness and the beauty were in equal parts. And for that, I'm going to go with The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This book was so beautiful. It was written so beautifully. I have a full review of this up on my channel that I will link up above. The actual writing style of this is so whimsical and so gorgeous, and the topics in here can get really dark sometimes, and some of the things that happen in this are just awful. I ended up loving this book even though it is dark. It's still gorgeously written and moving, and I cried and I loved it, and I think it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story that's also deeply depressing. Kind of. I also tend to really like depressing, dark things and find them beautiful, even when other people don't. So there's that. Then I have Victor Van Dort from The Corpse Bride, a book that you'd like to see made into a stop motion film. It's kind of creepy. Like, stop motion in and of itself is just a little bit eerie. It's so jumpy. It's like a little bit odd. But I think I have a book that would be perfect for it, and that is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire, because A, it's shorter, so making that into stop motion would be a lot less tedious. This is a dark book that's also got such fantastical, whimsical worlds that are described. I think you could do a lot with it as stop motion, and I think that it could be really, really cool. Sweeney Todd, a book with a concept that I did not think that would work, but did pull it off. And for that, I'm picking Illuminae and Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I really had my reservations about the mixed medium and the way that the story was told, and even the subject matter of like this space battle. It's not my thing. Seeing as the genre wasn't my thing, I didn't think that the way that the story was presented was going to work for me, but it does. Like, I don't know how, but it does. The case files and the different mixed mediums, and especially in Gemina, the illustrations and the journal entries, they work. They absolutely work. And in theory, I didn't think they would, but they do. Ed Wood, I don't know who that is or where that's from. A book that is terrible, but I enjoyed it anyway, and that is the Dark Elements series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and that is about gargoyles and demons, but I ended up really liking it. There's snake tattoos that come off of people's bodies, and I'm about it. And there's gargoyle sentries that come to life at night, I think, right? Not during the day, but only at night. Just ridiculous, but I loved it all the same. So I'm saying that. Captain Jack Sparrow, the greatest book character ever, or a book featuring some of your favorite quotes, share a few. So I did pull up on Goodreads a whole bunch of quotes from one of my favorite characters of all times, and that is from this series. This is Kim Harrison's The Hollow series, and this follows a trio. Ivy, who's a vampire, it has Rachel Morgan, who is a witch, and Jenks, who is a pixie, and between the three of them, they form bounty hunters, right? I guess, pretty much, like private investigator, bounty hunters, and Jenks rounds out their trio in the most amazing way. Jenks to me is one of the best written characters ever. He is a pixie who's just sassy. He's the comedic relief, but he's also so well written in terms of family and depth of character and emotional depth. He has this family of pixies that live out in the cemetery of Rachel's house / church. A little bit of like a Napoleon complex in that he's obviously the smallest. He's a pixie. He's only about 4 inches high, but he's such a badass, like so cute. And I think I crushed on a 4-inch pixie at some points, but he's just amazing. I laughed out loud at some of the things that he has said. And then I've cried most at some of his parts where he has just this emotional depth, and he is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. If you have not read this series, you need to. Like, genuinely, you need to. It's an adult, urban, fantasy, paranormal, romance. Like, everything you could want in a book is in this book. A Fistful of Charms, where somebody gets past him, especially running back up for Rachel, and somebody gets past him, and he just cannot live with the guilt because he's so loyal to Rachel and Ivy and his group. So he says, tagged by a whiny little vamp, he said, gesturing, Rach, take this sword and stick it into me. Just go ahead and stick it in me. I'm a backdrafted, crumpled-winged, dust-caked, dew-assed excuse of a backup. Worthless as a pixie condom, taken down by my own partner. Just tape my ass shut and let me fart out of my mouth. My kids know you can make it if you take risks and work hard. That we can work in a system you lunkers set up. That's all a parent really needs to give his child, that and how to love somebody with all of your soul. Like comedic relief, and then also just these beautiful, sentimental family, friendship, like moments. Ah, I love it. For me, he's like the perfect mix of family man, loyal friend, comedic relief, emotional depth. He's absolutely phenomenal and one of my all-time favorite characters that I think about whenever I think about just a well-written, well-rounded character, and like so not a sidekick. He's not supposed to be one of like the main character. He's not Rachel Morgan, and yet he still steals the show every time he's on the page. So that has been the entirety of the Johnny Depp book tag. I had fun doing this one, and I'm glad that I didn't put too much thought into it because I think I'm really happy with all my answers. I hope you are too. If you have not done this, I officially tag you, but I will tag a couple people down in the description box down below too. I'm going to do a little bit of research and see who has and hasn't done it, and then I'll link a couple people down below. Thank you to Jessica and Christina again over at Game of Tomes. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and then click the little bell on the side of the subscribe so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday or Sunday. Either one. It depends on what I feel like doing. Thanks for watching, and I will see all of you in my next video.